Hi everyone, welcome to Big Northern Bear Battles Brain Cancer. This is the first time in a long time I felt up to making a video, and I want to just catch everyone up on my health update. So first of all, I'm known originally on YouTube for my AFib channel. I've had no AFib through all this stuff I'm going to detail here. So, as you know, I had a seizure during a live stream with Mr. Terry Tucker. Was my first seizure. But what you don't know is since that day, I was completely debilitated for a long time. Something happened during that seizure that really set me down physically. The day I had the seizure, I'd done a 5-mile walk. The next day, I probably couldn't even walk a quarter mile. And it just stayed that way for a long time. So let me just go through the history of this. So bear with me. It might take a few minutes, but it was quite the journey, and I want to share it with you all. Because if you're subscribed to this channel, I assume you're interested in all the ups and downs of my battle with pleomorphic astroxanthosarcoma brain cancer. Okay? So it started with that seizure on my live stream, and that debilitated me greatly. At some point, I got so weak, I couldn't even put on my own pants. I needed help just to put on track pants. I got that weak. And I had days where it was, I won't say bedridden, let's say lazy boy ridden, where I just couldn't do anything because I was so weak and dizzy, and my hands were constantly shaking whenever I tried to do anything. I had muscle cramps and spasms through my whole body, and I was having mini seizures where like one limb or one foot would have a seizure. It was like the freakiest thing. So I got under the care of a neurologist, oncologist, who specializes in brain tumors, so I got really lucky to have someone like that. And she put me on a drug called lamotrigine because the drug they originally put me on, Keppra, actually I reacted in an idiosyncratic way, not typical for most people, but it actually made all my debilitations about 5 times worse, where I remember once I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom. That was a terrible day. So it was really bad. Combined with all the other problems I was having, I actually had to stop my radiation therapy for 2 weeks because I just couldn't get there. Even with a drive, I just couldn't get to the hospital to do it. So we had to pause it all for a few weeks, and we resumed the radiation therapy just after Christmas. And then I had another grand mal seizure at that time, but I was able to continue to go to therapy, and at that point me and my wife decided no matter what, even if I have to go in a wheelchair, we're going to get through these 33 sessions of radiation and the 40 days of chemotherapy. So with our minds made up, we just went for it and pushed ourselves really hard. Now you can see the toll it's all taken on me. I don't look the same. Over the 4 months on the high dose dexamethasone, I probably gained 75, 80 pounds. Some of this is water weight. I have something called Cushing's syndrome now, which means my cortisol is all screwed up thanks to the steroid. I'm finally tapering off the steroid after being on it for 4 months. So I'm at half the dose. I'm starting to see some of the water come off, and I'm hoping that continues. So another 3-4 weeks I'll be off it completely. But it's something you have to go off slowly or it causes its own set of problems. So after the radiation started, the first 2 weeks weren't so bad. After 2 weeks, I really started to feel it. I was just so exhausted, and it made me all weak and dizzy again. I pretty much became lazy boy ridden. I've watched so much Netflix I can't even tell you, but it's really all I could do. I couldn't participate for work. I couldn't do anything around the house at all. I didn't even have the energy to do these simple videos. In fact, just looking at my screens anytime I had a screen up close to me, like a laptop or a monitor, it would make me feel like a seizure was going to come on. I was quite photosensitive. So it was just not a good time. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks during that time. And I lost my driver's license after the first seizure. The doctor had to take my driver's license away. I fully understand that. I would hate to be responsible for hurting someone in traffic because I had a seizure behind the wheel, including my own family or strangers. So I was on such a high dose of dexamethasone. I know it might not sound like a lot, but it is. 12 is high, 12 milligrams. Apparently, I was pretty much unable to metabolize body fat. So almost everything I ate just went to fat storage, apparently. And it's part of it. So I've started yesterday diligently counting my calories, just like I did for my AFib years ago. So I'm back to that program, and I'm hoping to start my treadmill walks Monday. I won't be doing long walks out of doors right now because this concern is I'd have a seizure still. I may not be out of the woods on that, even though I'm on good seizure medication. So far it's been great. No seizures since January 2nd. But I'll do my workouts on my treadmill. I even wear a bike helmet just in case. I mean, it's not like anyone's looking at me. Because if I have a seizure, I had a craniotomy. I need to protect my head. Okay? So the radiation finished February 12th. It was kind of a celebration. My wife made me this t-shirt that said, last day of radiation, looking forward to my superpowers, because I always make this joke when I get an MRI or an x-ray. I always say to the technician, I'm here to have my superpowers installed. So she made me a shirt to wear, and we took a video of that, and my mother from North Bay was down for that. My mother-in-law came, and my stepdaughter came. It was a big deal. You get to ring this bell on your last day of radiation. So, excuse me, as of now, I'm completely done with radiation. They don't do second radiation unless like a whole big tumor grows back. So that's probably my last radiation, at least I'm hoping. And during that time, I was doing chemotherapy called temozolomide. And actually, I tolerated that really well. It didn't give me any problems. Which is good, because the next step now is I'll be doing a year of temozolomide. I'll be doing day 1 through 5 each month on the temozolomide. I think it's double the dose I was on during the radiation. And the rest of the month, your body gets a break from it. So it's only, even if it does affect me, it's only going to be the first 5 days of each month. And then I get a 3-week break before I do it again. So I think a year of that's going to be quite tolerable. And I'm hoping the fact they tell me I have a slow growing kind of tumor that's vulnerable to this drug based on the genetics. So I'm quite hopeful that, I'm returning to work and working for the year and just having a life with my family, and that it gives me time to take the weight off and do my cardio. But I've been advised just to give up on the powerlifting I was doing because of the craniotomy, because it could trigger seizures by creating that intracranial pressure when doing the big lifts. It would really likely trigger seizures during a lift. So for me, it's not worth the risk at this point. I mean, I have my gold medal in powerlifting, and I'm happy with that, and I'll go back to cardio. I also really enjoyed my jogging, so I'm really hoping I can get up to jogging again once I've taken this water weight and extra body fat off, which you all know I can do because I've done it before. So I was napping 4 to 5 times a day. I was so tired. As I got deeper and deeper into the radiation, the exhaustion started to build up. I was pretty much what I call lazy boy ridden, not bedridden, but I mean, I just couldn't do anything all day long. And that started actually, you might remember when I had a seizure on the live stream with Terry Tucker. That was my first seizure. And the next day I really declined in health, neurologically. Like I was just shaking and dizzy all the time and just weak. Started having muscle spasms all the time. Part of it was the first medication they put me on called Keppra. I had a very bad reaction to that. So I take the Keppra, and over 2 days I would completely debilitate. And then I met with the neurologist, and she said, this never happens on Keppra, can you try again? So I tried again, and the same thing happened. So we switched to lamotrigine. The lamotrigine takes 6 weeks of a taper up in order to get to the therapeutic dose. So for 6 weeks, I was tapering up. Pleased to report now, since January 2nd, I haven't had a big seizure. And I still was having all these muscle cramps. So because I'm on so much medication, we didn't know what's causing all these muscle cramps I'm having through my whole body. They can be quite painful. So we didn't know if it was the epilepsy drugs, the radiation, the chemotherapy, the steroids, because all of them list this as a side effect. So which one? But they're actually, since the radiation stopped and I've been reducing the dexamethasone, they've been easing up, I'm pleased to report. And I've been less shaky and less dizzy. I've been able to do more things for myself. So I'm quite pleased with that. I even did about an hour and a half on my job at work yesterday. And today I was able to do an hour and a half of my bookkeeping for my business that I've fallen behind on. So that's great. Let's see. I was napping 4 to 5 times a day because I would just get exhausted doing next to nothing. And now I'm down to about 2 naps a day. And I find it's just to relax and clear my head. Let's see. I just have some notes here. Bear with me. My heart has been perfect throughout all this. I just saw the cardiologist yesterday, and the heart's been perfect. So that's good news. I've had no AFib now for over 1,300 days, even through all that I've been through recently. So, I mean, it pays off. I think I mentioned that at the start of the video. So the next step is now March 28th, I get an MRI to see how well this first round of treatment worked. And they take so long because after the radiation, you have a lot of swelling in your brain. And the swelling actually on the MRI looks like tumor. And they call that pseudo growth. And so they need all that swelling gone before they do the MRI and determine how much cancer's left, or if there's any left. And it's quite possible I'll get a clean MRI, because the MRI I had before the start was they couldn't see any cancer. But just because it's clean doesn't mean the cancer's there, because around the edge of the tumor has a way of blending in very small cells into the rest of the brain that won't necessarily get picked up by the MRI because they're too small, which is why we do the year of chemo that we're going to do. So part of the fun of the steroids is during this time it also made me borderline diabetic. So now that I'm back to counting calories, I'm going back on the low glycemic diet I was doing to try and keep my blood sugar lower. It was working quite well for me. Where I got in trouble is because I couldn't metabolize fat. I noticed that the amount of carbs I was eating was just getting less and less each day, and that my energy was suffering as a result. So I just was careful to add more carbs. It was usually a couple extra bananas, low glycemic fruit, just to get some extra carbohydrate, and that helped me pick me back up a little bit. And I'm at the point now on the dex where I'm on a smaller dose where I'm not going to worry so much about it. I mean, once I'm completely off the dex, I might go keto again because it's good to control the seizures. I might not. We'll see how I feel. The low glycemic. Once I started the low glycemic, I noticed the seizures stopped too. So I don't know if there's a blood sugar link there, but every time I had a seizure or a small focal seizure, I would check my blood sugar after, and my blood sugar was actually always in the normal range. Like in Canada, the normal range fasted is 4 to 7, and I'd always be at like 5.6 or 6. So I don't really know in my case if the seizures are connected to my blood sugar level, but it seemed like just a good thing to do was to keep my blood sugar levels as normal as possible. So anyway, I'm surprised I've actually done this well through this video. 2 days ago I could not have made this video. So every day getting a little bit stronger, and then I get a little bit stronger, then I have to reduce the dex, and then I'm tired for a couple of days, and then the cycle starts again. So that's where I'm at today. And I want to thank you all for following my journey here on Big Northern Bear Battles Brain Cancer. And you know, some of this is, I mean, I've shown you all how to live healthy, and then this happened. So in a way I feel like I've let some of you down, but I know it's not in my control. And the stuff I've been facing, man, it's hard, and I appreciate that you're interested in following me, because nobody should have to go through what I've been going through. I'll just say that. And I appreciate all your prayers, and I appreciate all your thoughts, And I appreciate everyone who's looking out for me, who gives me advice that comes from their heart, it comes from a good place. Whether or not I choose to follow said advice or even agree with said advice, I know it's coming from a place of love, and I thank you all for it. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend. This is your friend, Big Northern Bear, out.